Hello everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 11 Pro Max and see if this particular iPhone is still worth buying in the middle part of 2024. Now, the first thing I will definitely tell you is that for the everyday person, the iPhone 11 Pro Max is probably still worth buying in some capacity. I do feel like these phones are very decent in so many different ways, and I'm going to go through and buy a specific device. I think it might be better if you're buying something like this, but I've hit on this phone so many times throughout this whole entire year, and we'll talk about that again. If you want to pick it up, links are down in the description. You get it from there, and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. The big thing here, though, is that with the iPhone 11 Pro Max, the exterior of this phone still holds up pretty well for the most part. It's not like an ugly phone, it's not like a terrible looking phone either. And I do feel like a device like this still holds up so well in so many different ways. It's a 6.5-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display, or Super Retina OLED display. It's a very good panel. Like if I'm going through and buying a certain device, I like the fact that this phone looks the way that it does because it is a very good looking phone, which is something I like a lot. Again, it's not a perfect phone, but I do think it's a very good device when it comes down to it. You have the notch up top, lightning port at the bottom, curved sides, and you're also getting a flat side with a frosted glass back on the back side of it, which I think looks very, very good. And I do think, once again, this type of stuff is very cool because if I'm going through and buying a device, I like the fact that this phone holds up that well in this particular perspective. So this right there is another very cool thing. If I'm going to go through and buy a phone, I think this phone looks very beautiful, which is something I like a lot about this particular device. In terms of the cameras, triple camera setup on the back side, 4K at 60 on the front and the back, and still holds up very well. But the biggest announcement we got was within iOS 18. We just found out that this iPhone is going to be getting iOS 18. I'm still trying to install it on this phone, but from the fact of this phone when it was first, when I talked about it first of all this year to mid, this thing got iOS 18, which is great. My next review is going to be talking about iOS 18 like crazy. But so far in iOS 17 throughout this year, this phone held up very well, which is a good sign of how iOS 18 should be holding up in the future. And I do feel like this is another very cool thing about this phone because as I'm going through buying a new phone and going through that perspective, I like the way that this phone is held up from that particular side, which again is another very cool thing. So performance from software side, this thing's still supported, it's still here, and that is a very nice thing going on for this particular phone because you're able to go and buy a phone like this and it's going to hold up very well from the software side, which is something that's really cool. On the performance side, you're still going to be getting that Apple A13 bionic chip inside of this particular phone, which again is very cool. I love being able to grab my Apple A13 bionic chip, and it is going to hold up very well from that particular side too, which is another very cool thing. And if I'm going to grab a phone, I like the fact that this phone holds up that well from that particular side. On top of that, this phone, pretty much from the performance that I've been kind of messing around with it in the last year or two, it's been holding up very, very well as well. Like you're not really going to run into too many problems. I'm curious to see on iOS 18 how it's going to kind of develop in the next few months until the end of this year. But I will tell you in so many different ways as well, this phone holds up very well from that particular side as well. So overall, what I can definitely tell you is the iPhone 11 Pro Max, I think is still worth buying, and I think there's still a lot of capability and a lot of quality behind this device. If I'm going to go through and buy a phone, I do think a phone like the iPhone 11 Pro Max is still a very, very decent option. Maybe it's not the most perfect phone of all time anymore, but I would probably say if you're going to go ahead and buy a phone, I would definitely recommend it for sure. So that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.